Imagine walking into a modern home and suddenly realizing that almost everything people now take for granted simply didn't exist 100 years ago. No refrigerator humming quietly in the kitchen, no air conditioning keeping every room comfortable, no running water waiting at the turn of a faucet. Even stranger, some homes had tiny elevators hidden inside their walls. Milk could be delivered directly into the house through a special door, and entire rooms existed for purposes that have completely disappeared from modern life. It sounds like something from another world, yet for millions of families these features were once considered normal. The truth is that homes are like time capsules. Every generation designs houses around its needs, its technology, and its way of living. As society changes, entire parts of the home quietly fade away. Today, we're taking a journey through 10 fascinating home features that were once common, practical, and sometimes even essential, but have now largely vanished into history. And by the end, you'll see just how dramatically everyday life has changed in a surprisingly short amount of time. Before refrigerators became one of the most important appliances in the house, people faced a problem that modern families rarely think about. Food spoiled quickly. Meat, dairy products, and leftovers could become unsafe within days. For centuries, preserving food required smoking, salting, drying, or storing it underground. Then came one of the most important household inventions of its time, the icebox. Imagine waking up in the morning and hearing the sound of an iceman arriving on your street. Families would purchase massive blocks of ice that had to be carried into the home and placed inside a special compartment at the top of the icebox. Cold air naturally sank downward, cooling the food stored below. It sounds simple, but it was revolutionary. For the first time, families could keep food fresh much longer without relying on ancient preservation methods. These boxes were carefully designed with hollow walls filled with insulating materials like cork, straw, and sawdust. In a way, the icebox represents a powerful lesson about human ingenuity. People didn't wait for perfect technology. They found creative solutions using the resources available to them. Today, most people complain if their refrigerator stops working for a few hours. Back then, keeping food cold required constant planning and effort. While cooling food was a challenge, keeping homes comfortable presented another problem. Long before air conditioning existed, people had to rely on clever architectural tricks to stay cool. One of the most effective solutions was the transom window. These small windows sat above doors and could be opened to improve airflow throughout a building. Imagine a hot summer day in the late 1800s. Without fans or air conditioners, rooms could quickly become uncomfortable. By opening transom windows, fresh air could circulate from room to room, creating a natural cooling effect. What makes this feature fascinating is that it reflects a different mindset. Instead of depending on machines, builders designed homes that worked with nature. The windows also allowed extra sunlight into interior spaces while maintaining privacy. Many historic buildings still feature these elegant windows today, quietly reminding us that simple solutions often solve complex problems. Another feature that has almost disappeared tells us a lot about social status and family life. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the parlor was often the most important room in the house. This wasn't just another living space, it was a statement. Families carefully decorated parlors with their finest furniture, artwork, rugs, and decorations. Guests were welcomed into this room because it represented the family's reputation. Think about that for a moment. Today, most homes are designed around comfort and entertainment. Back then, homes were often designed around appearances and social standing. The parlor was where important conversations happened, where marriages were discussed, where celebrations were held, and where families gathered during moments of grief. Some parlors remained untouched for weeks at a time because they were reserved for special occasions only. Over time, society changed. Families became more casual. Television entered the home. Entertainment became the center of household life. Slowly, the formal parlor disappeared and evolved into the modern living room. Yet its existence reveals something fascinating about human behavior. Every era creates spaces that reflect its priorities. The same homes that contained elegant parlors often included another feature that told a very different story. Hidden away from public view were servants' quarters. During the late 17th century through the early 20th century, many wealthy households employed staff to cook, clean, maintain the property, and assist the family. These workers needed places to live, and homes were designed accordingly. In smaller houses, servants often slept in attics or basements. In larger estates, entire wings were dedicated to household staff. The goal was simple. Servants needed to be close enough to perform their duties, but distant enough to remain largely invisible. Looking back today, these spaces offer a powerful glimpse into social structures that shaped everyday life. They remind us that architecture doesn't just reflect technology, it also reflects power, class, and social expectations. Every hallway, staircase, and hidden room tells a story about how people viewed one another. Another forgotten feature reveals how much effort basic hygiene once required. Before indoor plumbing became common, something as simple as washing your face involved planning ahead. Most bedrooms contained a washstand, typically made from attractive woods like walnut or mahogany. On top sat a pitcher filled with water and a large basin for washing. Every morning and evening, family members used these items as part of their daily routine. It's easy to overlook how revolutionary running water truly was. Modern people can walk to a sink and instantly access clean water without a second thought. Earlier generations had to carry water, store it, and use it carefully. The washstand became an essential piece of furniture because it solved a daily problem. As plumbing spread throughout homes, these once necessary items gradually became decorative antiques, reminding us that conveniences often become invisible once they become normal. Heating a home brought another set of challenges. Before electricity became widespread, coal was one of the primary sources of fuel. This created the need for coal chutes. These metal openings were built directly into a home's foundation and connected to storage rooms near the furnace. Delivery workers would arrive with tons of coal and dump it through the chute into the basement. Many old homes still contain coal rooms stained black from decades of coal dust. Imagine the amount of work involved. Someone had to manage fuel supplies, monitor the furnace, and deal with the constant mess created by coal. Wealthier families sometimes invested in systems like the Riley stoker, which automatically fed coal into the furnace. This innovation reduced labor and increased convenience. What seems primitive today was once considered cutting-edge technology. History often teaches the same lesson again and again. Every generation believes its technology is advanced, yet future generations inevitably see it as outdated. The arrival of electricity transformed homes in ways that are difficult to fully appreciate. One early electrical system was known as knob and tube wiring. From the 1880s through the 1930s, it became one of the most common methods for distributing electricity throughout homes. Copper wires ran through walls and ceilings, supported by porcelain knobs and tubes that prevented contact with surrounding materials. At the time, this system represented progress and modernity. Families who installed electrical wiring were embracing the future. Yet as electrical demands increased, the limitations became clear. Homes began using more appliances, more lighting, and more power than the original systems were designed to handle. Eventually, safer and more efficient wiring methods replaced knob and tube systems. This pattern appears throughout history. New technology solves old problems, creates new challenges, and eventually gets replaced by something better. Speaking of daily routines, few forgotten home features feel as charming as milk doors. Before refrigeration became common, fresh milk was delivered to homes almost every day. To make this process easier, builders created small insulated compartments built directly into exterior walls. The milkman could place bottles inside from outdoors, and homeowners could retrieve them from inside the house. There was no need to answer the door or worry about weather, animals, or theft. Imagine children waking up in the morning and finding fresh milk waiting inside the compartment. It was a simple system, but it worked remarkably well. These little doors reflected an era when neighborhoods operated differently. Delivery services weren't apps on smartphones. They were real people visiting homes every day. As refrigerators and supermarkets became widespread, milk deliveries declined, and the milk door quietly disappeared from home design. Large homes often contained another room that has mostly vanished from modern architecture, the butler's pantry. Positioned between the kitchen and dining room, this space served as a command center for meals and entertaining. Valuable china, silverware, serving dishes, and other dining essentials were stored here. Meals could be organized before being presented to guests. Silver could be polished and inventories maintained. In some cases, butlers even slept nearby to protect valuable household items. The existence of the butler's pantry reveals how formal dining once was. Hosting guests required planning, preparation, and specialized spaces. Today, many kitchens are designed to be open and social. In earlier times, much of the work happened behind the scenes. Even though the traditional role of the butler has largely disappeared, modern luxury homes sometimes include updated versions of these pantries because the concept remains practical. Perhaps one of the most surprising features on this list is the dumbwaiter. Imagine living in a multi-story home and needing to carry meals, laundry, books, or supplies up and down stairs countless times every day. Dumbwaiters solved this problem by acting as miniature freight elevators. Operated using ropes and pulleys, they transported goods between floors with far less effort. Hotels, schools, restaurants, and large homes all benefited from this clever invention. Before electric motors were added, users manually raised and lowered the compartments. While they were never intended to carry people, they dramatically improved efficiency. The dumbwaiter reminds us that convenience has always been valuable. Human beings constantly search for ways to save time and energy. Whether through ropes and pulleys or modern automation, that desire remains unchanged. Finally, there is a feature that combined practicality with elegance: the picture rail. Before drywall became common, and before homeowners casually drilled holes wherever they pleased, walls were often made from fragile plaster that could crack or crumble when damaged. Picture rails offered a simple solution. Installed near the ceiling, these decorative strips allowed artwork to be hung using hooks and wires. Pictures could be rearranged whenever desired without damaging the walls. Beyond their usefulness, picture rails added beauty and character to a room. They reflected a time when home design focused not only on function, but also on craftsmanship. Many older homes still preserve these rails, offering a glimpse into an era when even practical solutions were designed with style in mind. Looking at these forgotten features together reveals something remarkable. None of them disappeared because they were useless. They disappeared because the world changed around them. New technologies arrived, social expectations shifted, daily habits evolved. The icebox gave way to the refrigerator. The milk door became unnecessary. Coal chutes lost their purpose. Parlors transformed into living rooms. Yet each feature represents a solution to a real problem faced by real people. They remind us that history isn't only found in textbooks or museums. It's hidden inside the walls of old homes, waiting to tell stories about how previous generations lived, worked, entertained guests, raised families, and adapted to the challenges of their time. The next time you flip on a light switch, open your refrigerator, adjust your thermostat, or grab a glass of water from the kitchen sink, take a moment to appreciate how extraordinary those simple actions would have seemed to someone living a century ago. Because one day, the features we consider normal today may become the forgotten curiosities of the future, and future generations might look back at our homes with the same fascination we feel when exploring these incredible pieces of history.